My biggest gripe about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is his fanbase. That's exactly how this video is going to start. Welcome back to a brand new video, I guess, of Sparking Zero, and I'd like to talk about how I believe the downfall of this game really isn't the game itself, but more or less the fan base. And before anyone says, oh, you haven't played Sparking, dude, I've been playing Sparking since I was a fucking kid. Anyway, before this video continues, I'm going to give the gripes I have about the community as well as the updates and the game itself, so I can quote-unquote play fair and not take sides, because off rip, I already know somebody's going to be in the comments keyboard typing, keyboard warriors be like, oh my gosh, he's taking sides. No, I'm not taking sides. I'm not taking sides before anybody says anything. Anyway, if you enjoy the video, hit the like button. Let's get into it. So, Sparking Zero. What about this game? Now, the gripes I do have is probably the maps, if anything. We have enough characters in the game. We have characters from the movies. We have characters from the actual story. From Z, really from Dragon Ball up until GT and Super. So we have a good amount of characters. Some characters we don't even have in the game. Some characters we do. There's a loads of DLC characters that we've gotten. But the problem with that gripe is, and this is mainly with the game, we don't have certain maps. Certain maps that we've seen in the game we have, but I don't think we even have a Kami's Lookout or the Glacier from the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, or any of the other maps that I believe we should have, like such as, and I think this would be a cool addition to add, is Bulma's little island area from the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, from when they were first fighting towards the beginning to the middle part of the movie. Right around the beginning stages of when Broly was, when, what was I going to say, when Goku and Vegeta were fighting above Bulma's little island, just so they have a place to train. I believe that should have been in this movie as well as other things, but I digress as far as like maps and stuff go, because this isn't about just maps. This is a gripe about the entirety of the game. Now, I do believe some of the characters that were added are, I wouldn't say reskins, but I want to say some you could tell are reskins. But I do think if you add more maps, people won't have as much gripes about it. But it's like, as far as what we got, I think it was good, decently sized. The only problem, like I said, was the map. But as far as the players go, I think this is a common problem that I see a lot from any anime community. I mean, hell, even Naruto to Boruto Ninja Storm Connection, that game. Or why there's other games that I've seen that I have, keep in mind, there's games that I have played that I just don't upload. There's a reason for why I don't upload them. Because I know that if I upload them, then there's going to be a problem, or somebody's going to have an issue with how I'm playing the game. I like playing games based off of how I like playing them. That's why I see this as a particular video that I wanted to talk about, because it was like, I see the fan base being the problem only because online. That's something that I do want to mention. Online. There's so many people that use this game as a crutch to say, oh yeah, it's supposed to be competitive, when the developers specifically said this is a give to the fans. It's the original, is based off of the original but currently updated modern version of Budokai Tenkaichi, or the original Sparking series, which I think a lot of people misunderstood when they said that, because a lot of y'all old gamers, I want to say old veterans of the older Tenkaichi series, don't understand that y'all gotta let that shit go, bro. Certain things that were in older Tenkaichi isn't gonna be in this version of Tenkaichi or Budokai or Sparking, because it's different. It's not the same. Some mechanics are different, some aren't. It kind of just depends on how well the game is perceived, because I mean, hell, even when people complain, the devs went into the game immediately and started changing stuff. It was like a game, what was it called? I wouldn't say a game update, but you know what I mean. Like bug fixes, fixing stuff, fixing all the problems with the games, and then they were going based off of what problems needed to be fixed, or connection stuff like that. All that stuff, like the internet connection, servers, all that stuff that was down. They went in, fixed it, and boom. A lot of people were still complaining about the game as far as multiplayer goes. Now, I do want to say, I want to preface this, because a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, that's not how it's supposed to be played. Sparking Zero was not supposed to be played competitively. That's just how it is. That game's not really built for competitive play. Most anime games aren't. But the fact that it was competitive play right from the jump means a lot of y'all don't understand why a lot of people are having the problems that they're having with just the fan base, because I believe it's just a fan base problem. It's that y'all want everything to be competitive. There's no reason for it to be competitive when the game is meant to be played with your friends. That is how the game originally was working back then, before all the internet and stuff like that. You just got on, Sparking Zero was there, boom. Well, I wouldn't even say Sparking Zero, but Budokai Tenkaichi was there, and you get to play with your friends via the PlayStation 2 or any system that can, play the game, which a lot of systems for the time couldn't. Only ones were like, I think the Wii, the PS2. It was other, I wouldn't say PC, because it wouldn't make sense for it to be able to, but I mean, hell, even now you could play Budokai Tenkaichi on PC. Like, you can literally download and emulate the game for PC, so there's not really an excuse. You have an older version, but it's like, like I said, you can have modded or regular, just based off of how you want to play the game. So I think with, like I said before, the fan base was definitely the problem, or is the problem, because there's a lot of online competitive play that y'all don't seem to understand, and that old Tenkaichi heads, I'm gonna say old Tenkaichi heads because it just makes sense. Y'all want older mechanics from the older games, and it's just that doesn't work well with the new game, because Sparking Zero has a completely different engine built from the ground up, and it took about 5 years to make this game. So for it to sell the way it did means that there is a fan base behind it, but y'all have to let go of the original. Y'all just have to, man. I understand this game doesn't have certain things that game had, but I want to say it's asinine when they have to sit here, go back, and redo because y'all don't like something that they added into the game, when that's just how the game is supposed to be received. Sparking Zero has never been something that's supposed to be a perfect or be a true successor, but it's something that is a finale to series. I think personally, I don't think they'll even make another Sparking Zero, and if they do, it's probably not going to be like the one that they're made now. But it's like, a good example of this would be Jump Force. Jump Force had a whole bunch of problems. I want to say the fan base didn't kill it. The game itself killed it. This is a rare time where the game itself killed itself, because you got to think about it. Not only was like copyright issues, but like the game was popular. So for the game to even be dead upon release, meaning that they had a whole bunch of problems they kept running into, then the game itself would have been fine. But as far as like what we have today versus what we could have had, Jump Force was a prime example. And Sparking Zero is no different. Popularity is strong for this game. DLC characters, connection issues, online multiplayer play, maps, DLC, all that stuff is a factor. But the fan base itself needs to let go of the older Tenkaichi and understand that this game right here, y'all are still going to be waiting for DLC. Y'all might as well quit it with that whole, oh, they're dropping certain things in packs. It's a character pack. What did you expect? They're not dropping every single character in one pack. That's stupid. But that's just a gripe that I had about that, because it wouldn't make sense for them to. I think personally, the developers, I want to say, have caught enough slack from the fan base, but I personally think it was the fans that did kill this game. Only because the fans wanted something that was supposed to be a Budokai Tenkaichi successor, and they got that, and they didn't even use everything that's in the game. Like, there's people that haven't even beat the main storyline. There's even some people that have not even touched the tournament mode, much less used all the characters in the game. Some of you use Goku and call it raps. Some of you use Gogeta, in the UI, Ultra Instinct. Some of y'all use that and call it a day. Y'all don't use any other characters because it's quote-unquote not the meta. First of all, if you play any of the Dragon Ball games, you know that you don't just use one character and call it a day. You use most of the roster. That's the point of Budokai Tenkaichi. They added all those characters in there for you to use them. If you do not use them and don't have actual gripes about the actual game, there's no point, because you're just complaining and you haven't even used most of the content in the game. You can't complain about a lack of content if you didn't touch the other content that's already in the game. That's what I believe. That's what killed the game. Personally, the lack of content and quote unquote the people complaining about the lack of content, as well as the game being quote unquote rushed and unpolished. When they took note of everything, that should have been the first thing y'all complained about, was that certain things were supposed to be different, because they gave out codes. I wouldn't even say they gave out codes. They literally flew some of you out, the creators, to these events, and y'all were asked to give feedback, and guess what y'all didn't do? Y'all didn't give feedback. Y'all can't complain when you didn't give feedback. You're the problem. You're the issue. That's number one. Number two, if it's lack of content, again, why was this not being said when y'all were there? Versus when you actually do have people complaining about it, and they've played every inch of the game, and their opinion doesn't matter. That's the problem I see with the community, because they're not basing it off of everybody. They're basing it off of the creators themselves, the YouTube creators, and anybody else that had a hand in playing the way that Sparking Zero was set up. That's just how I see it. Personally, if that's not what y'all don't agree with, by all means, comment down below what you feel. If you've enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe. That's all I have for it, because that's all I really have to complain about. But if you really consider it complaining. At the end of the day, y'all aren't using all the characters. You're not using everything that's in the game. Therefore, you cannot complain. Thanks. Goodbye.